Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be profiling for you my Dinomist deck. This is the deck that I've been playing a little bit recently online and in real life a little bit when I have some spare time. And it's a really actually underrated deck. Actually, I feel like it's a very good deck. It's actually a pretty dang good pendulum deck, and it's the main pendulum deck I've been playing for the last month and a half now actually. First off, as I get into the deck profile, guys, I only own one Cyber Dragon Infinity for this deck. Yes, I know Cyber Dragon Infinity is one of the main boss monsters, quote-unquote, of Dinomist. Personally, I do find that you only really need one Cyber Dragon Infinity. If you have two Cyber Dragon Infinity, go right ahead and run two of them. But without further ado, guys, I'll get into the deck profile and talk about the deck. It's pretty straightforward. It's a very straightforward type of deck, I guess you could say. First, you have your Dinomist Rex. He's your level 6 pendulum scale. He is also pretty much, you can think of him as a mini Ignister. Pretty much, if you know Ignister from Draco Pals and all that stuff, he's pretty much like a mini version of Ignister, and he's very, very good. He's the only hollow card in the deck actually, which is kind of amazing, but yes, he's very good, very solid. Definitely a staple as a 3 of in the deck. Next, I'm going to go into Dinomist Spindles. Also, I will mention, guys, if you didn't know, Dinomist can protect their pendulum scales pretty well, so they're really nice to play with in that regard. You don't have to worry about their pendulum scales getting blown up and you wrecking your scales that hard, because you can recover with this deck, I find, very, very easily. Dinomist's Spindles actually just came out in Shiny Victories about a month ago now, and I'm going to read over you the card text so you understand what this card does. It's definitely a very good card. It was an upgrade, I guess you could say, from Stegosaurus, which was not that good, but this is definitely a very good card. So first off, it's a level 3 pendulum. It's a level 5 as well, so it helps you go for Ignister, and excuse me, not Ignister, but helps you go for Cyber Dragon Infinity. His first effect, his main monster effect that we care about, states you contribute one other Dinomist monster, then activate one of these effects. This card can attack your opponent directly this turn. Also, the second effect, this card can make a second attack during the battle phase this turn. This card is just wow. I'm surprised it actually wasn't a super, but at the least, because this card's very, very good, I find, and I really do like the card. Overall, I think it's a very good card, and it really gave the deck a little bit more oomph, so to speak, I guess you could say. So yes, definitely 3 of this guy. That card's amazing. Next, I run 3 Brachiosaurus. I may cut down on Brachiosaurus. If I recall from my research when I was looking up this deck and understanding it, I think they're coming out with another Dinomist monster in Dark Illusions in about a month or so, about 2 months. So if that's the case, I may drop down Brachiosaurus to a 2 of. We will have to wait and see. But at the moment, I do like 3 Brachiosaurus. It's another level 6 scale, and I was trying to find, when I was building this deck, I was trying to make it evenly where you have enough level 6 scales and you also have enough level 3 scales so you can easily pendulum summon in the deck and not worry about getting bricky hands and things of that nature, if you understand what I'm talking about. But 3 Dinomist Brachiosaurus. By the way, I've actually liked this deck because I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid, and the fact that these are kind of like Dinobots, I guess you could say. That's what it kind of reminds me of. There was a show on, I think, Toonami back when I was younger that was called Dinobots, I think it was. That's what this deck kind of reminds me of, Dinobots. Next we have 3 Petrie. I've always called this, T-Rex, Brachiosaurus. I've always called him Littlefoot. If you guys know Land Before Time, this is Littlefoot. This is Petrie. Though this does not look like Petrie at all. It looks like he's angry. But very good card here. I'll read his effect as well so you guys understand. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add 1 Dinomist card from your deck to your hand. That's really useful and it's a very good card overall. You run something over, you get to search a Dinomist monster. Really good. Also, he's a level 3 scale. Just overall a good card, I would say. Next, we run 3 Plesiosaurus. I know it says, what is it called? Plesiosaurus, I think. But isn't the technical name Plesiosaurus? I think it is. My childhood is coming back to me, kind of things I've read. Plesiosaurus is your rank 4 of the deck. Helps you go for some nice little combo plays. The cool thing about this deck is it can go for rank 4s and rank 5s very easily. Though I will say that even though you have the ability to go into the extra deck very easily, and you may want to, do remember that it sometimes is best when you're playing a pendulum deck to just play a pendulum deck, so to speak. Just pendulum summon and attack with your pendulum monsters. Don't feel like you always need to go into the extra deck, I would say. So when you're trying to make your Exceed summon, think, am I going to need this card down the road? You know, or is this okay if it's in the graveyard? Just saying. That's something you may want to keep in mind. But 3, Plesiosaurus, very good card. It's a level 6 scale as well. Then we run 2 Dinomist Ceratop. This card is kind of, I don't want to say it's kind of like a hat tricker for, I guess you could say, you know, hat tricker, Kage to Kage type of card. Pretty much what it states is, if all monsters you control are Dinomist monsters, minimum 1, and none are Dinomist Ceratops, you can special summon this card from your hand. Very useful card for the fact that sometimes I use this card for going for rank 5 Exceed plays. That's mainly what I use that card for. It's really useful in that aspect because it can help you go into Cyber Dragon Infinity, Volcasaurus, Zenmayo for popping back row, whatever you want, Durandal. It's up to you, but I like using this card especially for rank 5 plays. Sometimes, yeah, I use it as a beat stick, but mainly for rank 5 plays there. You could run 3 of it. I have in the past, but I just recently cut it about a week ago. Next, 2 Maxis. You can either run Maxi or Effect Veiler. It's up to you, the player, to decide which you would like to run. Personally, I like Maxi because this format there's a lot of special summoning going on, and that's why I run 2 Maxis. 3 Dinomist Charged. This is kind of like Fire Formation Tanky, but a little bit better. I don't know, I would say a little bit better. It's pretty dang good. But Dinomist Charge is very good. This is kind of like your Fire Formation Tanky. Really, really, really good card. I'll read it to you if you guys don't know, because a lot of people out there I've learned from researching this deck don't understand how Dinomist work. They pretty much are very good, cheap pendulum deck that's very effective, I find. When this card is activated, add 1 Dinomist monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if a Dinomist cards is added from the field to your extra deck, so if it's destroyed by pendulum or whatever, add one of those cards from your hand. Add one of those cards to your hand. You can only activate 1 Dinomist Charge per turn. It's a very good card and definitely a staple as a 3 of in the deck. Next, I run 2 Twin Twister. I'm debating at the moment if I should run 2 Twin Twister or 2 MST. You don't really get any benefits from sending your, pendulum monsters to the graveyard, so I may go back to MST. I've kind of gone wishy-washy on it. But for the moment, I'm going with Twin Twister. In the future, I may go with MST, just saying, because you're not getting any benefits from sending your monsters to the graveyard. But it does help clear back row and whatnot for your pendulum summon. Next, 2 Instant Fusion. Because you go for rank 5 in this deck, it's kind of like the way you do Cyber Dragons for some extent. Because with Cyber Dragons, you have ways of going into your rank 5s. So you can run Panzer Dragon, or as I always call it, Panzer Konfagen. As well, in this deck, you can actually run Norden because you have enough rank 4s. So even though you're sending your rank 4s to the graveyard, you do have Norden to bring them back and go for other Exceed monsters and things of that nature. So you do have to keep this in mind. There's a lot of moving parts in this deck you have to keep in mind when you're playing this deck. But 2 Instant Fusion is definitely a staple in the deck for Panzer Dragon for rank 5s or Norden for rank 4s. So we definitely run 2 of that. Other cards I run, 1 Limit Removal, 1 Upstart Goblin, and 1 Regeki. Limit Removal is a staple in this deck. It helps you OTK, gives an OTK aspect to this deck. Really solid. I think it was Team Samurai. I have to give him a shout out on this video because when I was watching his deck profile of this deck, I really understood what he was talking about from playing the deck personally myself, and I kind of understood, the little text he did, and I definitely like this little text. So shout out to Team Samurai, great Yugi tuber. Upstart Goblin, really good card. I like it in the deck for consistency. makes it a 39 card deck. Who cares? You're drawing a little bit deeper into your deck. What the heck? And Regeki, it's a good card, non-targeting removal. What can I say about it? You know. So yeah, shout out to Team Samurai for helping me work on this deck when I was building it. So I'm going to talk, before I get into the traps, guys, I'm just going to say, when I was building this trap lineup, I had a lot of extra space, and I was thinking about cards that I could run. And at the end of the day, I decided to run some of the best traps I thought possible, but there was different routes that I could have taken. There were other cards I was considering. I was considering maybe running 2 Effect Veiler. I was considering running maybe some other cards, like I think it's Dinomist Eruption, which is actually not a bad card. It pretty much states that when your Dinomist monster is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you get to destroy 1 card, any card that your opponent controls. It's pretty good, but I decided to cut those out and just run the best generic traps I found and the least situational traps out there. So that's what I did, but I'm just going to mention that off the top of my head. There's other routes you could take with this deck from here on out. But 3 Dinomist Rush is definitely a staple. Very good card. You special summon a Dinomist monster from your deck, pretty much. Very, 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 very good card. Staple. 3 of. Next, I run 2 Quaking Mirror Force. I've actually been starting to like this card, just in general. In general, I've been starting to like this card a lot more as time has gone on. And just in general, I decided to run in the deck not just because it's a good trap, but just because I find more uses for it against competitive decks. You put all their cards face down, they stay face down. It's a great card in Ghost Tricks and a whole bunch of other different decks out there. Watts, great card. So if your opponent spams the board and then you activate Quaking Mirror Force, those cards are going to stay face down unless they do something. They can't flip them back up, and it just means your Dinomist monsters. Like what I've done sometimes, which is really stupid with Quaking Mirror Force, is I've gone Quaking Mirror Force, they have all those monsters, bring out Spinosaurus, and just use his effect to attack directly, and just do a whole bunch of stupid stuff, and win games that way. So, just going to say that is a thing. But granted, then, I mean, you don't have to tribute, but yeah, there's just different ways you can do it. I really like this card, though. Really good card. Next, 1 Horn of Heaven, 1 Vanity's Emptiness, and 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. I was debating dropping the Vanities for another Horn of Heaven, because when you have, I think it's Dinomist Charge, if I remember correctly, the play out in the field, this pretty much becomes a solid warning, because it doesn't matter if you're tributing, because you get searches, but it's kind of situational, I found. There's no real, I want to say, it's just a little situational. It takes a lot of moving parts again, which this deck is already doing. So it could be a dead card in your hand. So I like it as a 1-of. It's a little tech, but you can cut it for something else if you wanted to. And probably when more Dinomist stuff comes out, if it is in Dark Illusions, then we're going to see about that. 1 Vanity's Emptiness, you make a big powerful board with your Dinomist monsters, and then you flip up the Vanities. Bottomless Trap Hole is just a good generic trap card as well. And then finally, I run the Solemn Brigade, 1 Solemn Warning, and 2 Solemn Strike. If you have a 3rd Solemn Strike, I would maybe drop one of the Quaking Mirror Forces or the Vanity's Emptiness, or the Horn of Heaven, for that matter, for the 3rd Solemn Strike if you have 3 Solemn Strike. Probably the Horn of Heaven I would drop for the other Solemn Strike if I had a 3rd one. But in this case I only own 2, so 2 Solemn Strike and the 1 Solemn Warning. Your Solemn Brigade for 2016, guys. What can I say? For your extra deck monsters, and I apologize about my voice, guys. It's really hoarse today. I don't know why. We run the 1 Cyber Dragon Nova and the 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity. If you have 2 of them, run it. But I always find myself only needing one Cyber Dragon Infinity, really, to go into. So, that's just me. Then I won 1-up Zamayo. Good cards. If you're noticing reminiscent cards of my Cyber Dragon deck, 1 number 16 Volcasaurus. 1 Artifact Durandal. Really underrated card. And finally, 1 Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger. Good card, too, for piercing. And other things, that is. For rank 4s, I run 1 Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. This on its own can win you games, so that's where I run it, because this is somewhat of an OTK-centric Pendulum deck. So This card comes in handy sometimes. Abyss Dweller is really underrated in this deck. The main reason being not just for Nodin, because he's a water attribute, but also people forget that this entire deck is water. The entire monsters are water. So, you get benefits if you bring back, say, you go Nodin, you bring back Plesiosaurus here, you have 2 water attributes underneath it. Abyss Dweller is going to get that attack bonus. Comes in handy, guys, comes in handy. So Abyss Dweller can just straight out win you games against certain matchups. 1 Castel, 1 number 103 Ragnar Zero. And for some other cards we run, Ragnar Zero also has some cool plays and integral things you can do with Plesiosaurus, I believe it is. So yeah, just going to mention that very briefly. For your other cards, 1 number 39 Utopia, 139 Utopia Ray, and 139 Utopia the Lightning. The reason why I run Utopia Ray is because you can reuse Utopia the Lightning's effect again. So it's not just a one-time thing, you can use it multiple times. So that's why I run the Ray as well as the Utopia, not just the Utopia and the Lightning. The Thunder and the Lightning. I never thought of that. They have Lightning and Thunder. Is it Thunder, really? No, it's Ray. I kept thinking of Lightning and the Thunder. I don't know why. Seto Kab has lost his mind. Next up we have 1 Panzer Dragon or Panzer Konfagen and 1 Elder Entity Guy Norden. Elder Entity Guy Norden. Whatever. But yes, guys, that is the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed it. The deck is very fun to play. It's very cheap to make for the most part. I mean, even the trap lineup, yeah, it's kind of expensive, I know, but you could replace some of those traps with, if you're a budget player, with Fiendish Chains, other cards out there. Quaking Mirror Force at the time I'm making this video is not that expensive. It may have gone up by the time this video goes up, though. There's just a lot of good upside to this deck. It's a very cheap, powerful deck, I find. It's kind of like Yusenju's in a way that it's very powerful, and it's also very cheap to some extent to make. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on the deck, guys, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I'll probably do an update if more Dinomist cards come out, or when I get another Cyber Dragon Infinity after the Megatins come out. But, till next time, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and thanks for watching.